magic in that. Dabbled around with radio as a kid, who gave me components, and I learned to build little bits and bobs of circuits. As I got a bit older, I managed to build better circuits. I got into my teens, early 20s. I became licensed under what was then the new foundation license as a radio amateur. Didn't get to do much for a while, didn't have access to the same kind of equipment that's available today, but as I did manage to start to get a little bit of transmitting equipment, started to make my way on air, so not just receiving but transmitting as well. It became what a sort of mainstay hobby for me for many years, particularly while I was studying at university. I would study along with my formal studies to creep my way through the licensing. All the while I was putting up good use in the hills, doing a lot of summits on the air. It was very much a bread and butter hobby and consumed quite a lot of my life at the time. Ultimately led me to using skills I picked up in the hobby and the interest to pursue a career in the power industry, where I was until 2020, when I was recruited by another engineer, Matt Porter, who works here. He made some introductions. It happened that there were some vacancies coming up, which I successfully applied to, and started working here in March 2020. So I'm the newest of the transmitter engineers here. Newest and least experienced, but somehow I've managed to transition from a hobby that I have a lot of passion for to actually making a career of it. So I'm one of the lucky very few, I suppose, in that regard.
Hi, I'm Chris Meek. I'm a general maintenance person at Woofferton. I literally live a few hundred yards down the road. Been there for a while now, so it's been 17 to 18 years. The interesting effects you get sometimes on radios and amplifiers and telephones, they seem to have diminished recently, but there was always a little bit of a buzz going on.
I'm John Norton. I'm a transmitter engineer at Woofferton. I've always been interested in radio, even from a very young age, making radios, things like that. So it's an ideal job for me, and thoroughly enjoy what I do. My passion is radio. I'm a licensed radio amateur. I got involved initially with the digital switchover during the transition to terrestrial digital television in the UK. I pretty much tested most of the relay stations in the factory before they got sent out. I then became involved in DGPS, which is direction finding for the General Lighthouse Authority, which was a very enjoyable period of time, visiting lots of lighthouses and sites, installing radio equipment. Moving on from that, I applied and got a job at Woofferton, and that's how I ended up here and where we are today. So all in all, I've had an interest from day one all the way through to almost retirement one day.
I am Richard Norris from Seychelles. A little brief about my career as a RF transmit engineer. I started way back in the year 2000 at the Indian Ocean Relay Station, better known as IORS, and at the time it was run by Merlin Communications. And I didn't know it by that name when I started. It was known to me just as the BBC, which surprised to me when I heard it's called Merlin now. Anyway, at the time when I joined, there were two UK expats. They were Barry Elding, who was the station manager, and Simon Adams. Simon Adams was the senior engineer. And after a few years, the site was run solely by Friedrich-Walter. My career really progressed from there, whereby I went to Oman, which is another relay station in the Middle East. Did a few stints there. A few years later, further down the line, we learned that the station site was about to close, and we had to look for other places, and that's where I learned about Ascension. And I applied and got a job there as a transmitter engineer as well. which was a very good experience, where I spent for 5 years.